Today's Total Soccer Show is brought to you by Enclosed.
That's right. Enclosed is a luxury gift service that delivers designer lingerie each month.
So when we did the first pre-roll for Enclosed, a few days ago, we got a tweet from our friend Shin Guardian, hello Matt, if you're listening, saying that us doing a pre-roll ad for lingerie was the very Klinsmann definition of stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I'd say I agree with that, especially because for me, buying lingerie for my wife is out of my comfort zone. I don't really want to go to a store and talk to a stranger about these things, and that's why I very much appreciate what Enclosed is doing.
Yes, it's embarrassing to pick a specific thing, right? But if you go to enclosedlingerie.com, you can put sort of your best guess at size and your best guess at preferred style, and Enclosed will do the rest, and they will select designer lingerie in the correct size and send it to your loved one so that you can give the gift of romance.
I also think, I'm going to say that I think it's a smart gray area in terms of if it's great and she loves it, that you can be like, yeah, I totally picked that out myself. And then if she's like, well, this isn't something I'd usually go with. I was like, oh, yeah, I think they wanted you to try something different. You can put that on them.
You can blame
I think
Enclosed.
That's the way to do it, yeah.
If you get it wrong, you can just blame Enclosed.
Exactly.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
You can also get $20 off if you go to enclosedlingerie.com and use the discount code SOCCER. Discount code SOCCER for $20 off at enclosedlingerie.com.
There we are. Thank you to Enclosed for sponsoring today's show. A link will be in the show notes. And with that said, without further ado, here's today's show.
Hello and welcome to the Thanksgiving special episode of the Total Soccer Show. My name is Daryl Grove. Sitting across the table from me, because I'm back in studio, to the man who has all his ingredients for his cake. His name is Taylor Rockwell. I meant pie.
You did.
I'm not from
You're
here.
doing your best, buddy.
I'm not from
You're
here.
doing your best.
I meant
it's
pie.
Cool. Yeah. How many proper Thanksgivings have you been to?
Probably one for each year I've been here. So
really?
What's that? Yeah,
right.
12?
I'm kind of surprised by that.
A dozen Thanksgivings.
Because when I say proper Thanksgiving...
One with your family.
Well, that's my question, is when you say proper Thanksgiving, do you mean you've gone, you have celebrated the holiday of Thanksgiving? How many times have you sat at a table with a bunch of people that you kind of knew and ate turkey?
Oh, no, we've mostly done kind of a Friendsgiving type thing. There's maybe, the one with your family, maybe 3 or 4 with my wife's family, because they're up in Michigan, so we don't always go back. Yeah.
All right. I'm mostly curious just because I'm trying to give you a little bit of a loophole there. So you can say things like Thanksgiving cake, and people won't immediately turn the podcast off.
I think there's no excuse for Thanksgiving cake.
No, there's not.
If we weren't so
in my
deep
opinion,
into this,
there's also no excuse for cake, but that's a different
If we weren't so deep into this conversation, I might even suggest starting the podcast over, but I think it's too late now. So, do you have your pie ingredients, your pie base ingredients?
Yes. We'll see if I end up making a pie. We'll see how that goes.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, time's running out.
Yeah, it's true.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do what we're thankful for in 2017, even with the shadow of the recent unpleasantness hanging over us. We have a special Thanksgiving question to answer later. But first, there was some Champions League today.
Was?
Yeah. So we're not going to do a full thumbs up, thumbs down review. No. I'll be honest, I didn't really watch a lot today.
Same.
So I just want to ask about maybe a couple of things that stood out to us in the Wednesday Champions League games before we move on to the Thanksgiving special.
I think really the one that really stood out to me
an appetizer, if you will.
There we go. The one that really stood out to me was Celtic learning that you should not poke the bear. Moussa Dembele scored inside the first minute. Yeah. All looked good. They lost 7-1.
Don't poke the French bear. The very wealthy French bear.
Correct. Yeah. In Paris. I think that doesn't go so well. Yeah, so it really was, from that point, it was just an onslaught from PSG. I think it was 4-0 at halftime. And then
4-1, I assume.
4-1, yeah. No, they canceled one out. That's how it works. And then they scored 3 in the final, 15. But it was pretty brutal from PSG.
So I did see the Celtic goal, which was in the first, minute or so? It was really...
Yeah, inside the first minute, yeah.
Wow. So it was either a trick corner or a scuffed corner. I couldn't tell if... I've forgotten the name of the guy who got the assist, even though you told me earlier. He definitely pulls it to the top of the box for Dembele, but I don't know if he was trying to cross it and he just mishit it. Or maybe he's putting some disguise on it.
Yeah, I think it was some disguise. I also think Dembele's shot was a bit disguised just because PSG's goalkeeper had trouble. I think he ends up getting a hand to it, but doesn't end up keeping it out into the back of the net. 1-0, but still finishes 7-1. Don't poke the bear.
Even if you put some disguise on it, or even if you accidentally do it, Don't poke that French bear.
Don't do that.
I saw I'm not sure how many Neymar scored, but I saw his goal where he had the nice 1-2 with Verratti, which was really, really good.
I checked to see who got the hat trick, and the answer was nobody. It was 2 for Neymar, 2 for Cavani, 1 for Mbappe, 1 for Verratti, and 1 for somebody else.
Wow.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I can remember off the top of my head. I can also remember the guy you were talking about who took the corner is named Oliver, and he's French, and he played for Man City up until, I think, this season. And by played, I mean was peripherally involved in that team. But he's 21 years old.
So a more surprising victory was FC Basel, as we've decided to now call them.
Yes.
1-0 over Manchester United. Michael Lang in the 89th minute. This is a shock result, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily affect the table. United are still top of the group, but it was not what was expected. Because United fielded a full team, I'm going to say. Pogba started, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could make the argument that some of the people that were in there were, like, back from injury, like, trying to kind of get them some minutes. But, yeah, I think overall the idea here was probably...
You think Rojo above anyone?
Yeah, I think the idea here from Jose Mourinho was we'll go in there, we'll kind of be a little bit conservative, we'll get that draw. That puts us far and away, like untouchable position at the top of the table, and then we can play the kids in the final one. And instead, it finishes 1-0 to Basel.
I have a theory on why this happened. All right. So what I saw happen, United started with what? Lukaku, front three. It was a 4-3-3. Front three of Lukaku in the centre, where he wants to be.
Yep.
Martial to his left and Lingard to his right, right? A couple of substitutions happened. So what? Rashford's in on the left towards the end. Later on, you end up with Ibrahimovic coming on.
Yep.
And Lukaku coming on. And I think I called this out a couple of episodes ago that this could be a problem going forward. And you end up with a front three of Rashford on the left, Zlatan in the middle, and Romelu Lukaku on the right. And I'm not sure Lukaku's happy with that. And I am pretty confident that the FC Basel goal comes because partly Romelu Lukaku does not track back as a Jose Mourinho right winger is supposed to do.
Yeah, and I didn't necessarily agree with you. I agree with you more having watched it again with that in mind. Because in my mind, it was just sort of like, oh, they're kind of conceding the flanks. They want everybody crowded in the middle. But that's probably less than likely. I feel like more so your formational shape makes more sense.
And if you look at it again, you see Rashford, who's like the mirror of Lukaku, left and right. Yeah. You see him tracking back. And you also see in the build-up, Herrera is gesturing towards Lukaku, come back, come back.
Yep.
And he kind of just doesn't. And I don't know if Lukaku's tired, if he's not used to that position, although he did play there with Everton sometimes, right? Or if maybe he was just kind of like, we're playing FC Basel, I'm a striker. Even if Zlatan's on, I'm not going to be doing the Jose Mourinho running up and down the right wing thing.
I am inclined to think it's some combination of two of those. I don't think it was fatigue, though. I think it was sort of, I do think he probably wasn't entirely, like, it wasn't instinctual, like, oh, I need to drop back and be in this 4-1-4-1 situation because we're on a defensive. But I think it was also, we're trying to get a win. I want to score against Basel. I want to try to keep my one-game scoring streak alive.
It's like he was ready for a counter, right? He was staying up there ready to get going. But what ends up happening is it Darmian? Does he wear number 36?
Yes.
That's who the right back I saw. He ended up 2-on-1.
It's tough to tell without his sideburn or without his mutton chops.
He ended up 2-on-1 because he had no cover. There's a big hole on that right wing, and they're able to double team him, overlap, get the cross in, and then Michael Lang scores at the far post from that cross.
And even that run from Michael Lang, it's a great run from deep, but he goes right past Marcus Rashford, and then Daley Blind, I think, kind of thinks somebody else is out there kind of helping him with that coverage, realizes too late nobody is. So I have a feeling Jose Mourinho is going to watch that one, and there's going to be some people yelled at, and there's going to be some tweaking to be done. What will be interesting
There's going to be some defensive drills for attacking wingers at Manchester United.
Yes. My question, though, is, well, will those drills happen for Romelu Lukaku? Because I don't think that is his skill set, and I frankly don't think it makes sense to have him try to do that role because he's been doing well. Yes, he's had a few patches, but generally speaking, he's been doing well as the out-and-out striker.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me to then be like, well, this other guy's back from injury. We don't know how fit he is, but we're going to have you as a winger just to see what happens. That doesn't feel very Mourinho to me.
So maybe what we'll see instead is maybe just a straight switch, Lukaku for Zlatan, going forward, as opposed to the switch where you bring Zlatan in and push Lukaku out wide.
I think so. I mean,
it makes more sense, right?
That makes the most sense to me, and then you can kind of rotate that if you need to, or if you need to get Lukaku a rest, Zlatan can start, and vice versa, so you can kind of have that similar player. I would say similar player, unless I'm missing something completely.
Lukaku and Zlatan?
Yeah, I mean...
In some ways, yeah, definitely.
Big, strong, and confident. I think that works pretty well. But I don't think...
You see fewer high kicks from Lukaku, I feel
this is definitely true.
Less flash and more support for your teammates, more gesticulating, supportive things to your teammates from Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah, Zlatan, it's a little bit more referring to yourself in the third person. I did want to say before we move on from this one that I feel like two I think I accused, I forget what it was, of like somebody listening to the show, hearing you, and then they went out and disproved you. That happened to me twice because I talked about Antoine Griezmann looking a little bit lethargic lately. He was booed off in the Madrid derby. He went out and scored I'm going to say, a lovely volley. I know that you were not as impressed by it.
I mean, I'm always sort of less impressed than other people by acrobatic volleys, if that makes sense.
Just jealousy.
Maybe it is just jealousy because
Yeah.
I can't quite do that.
Yeah, but I thought
Actually, I did have one last season, but it was more to stop a throw-in happening as opposed to scoring in the top corner.
and you were pleased with it.
I was pleased with it.
And I didn't, and I, wasn't cynical enough to be like, Daryl, come on, that's got to be a header. The way maybe somebody else might have. But I'll also say I was not necessarily critical, but I questioned Anthony Martial's crossing ability when we got the question about could he play more central. And I was saying that is sort of a deficiency in his game. In this Basel game, he had a couple like beautiful crosses, including one that my only conclusion I can draw is that he was aiming for Fellaini, but because Fellaini has the giant hair on top, he aimed for the hair because it legitimately hits Fellaini's hair and he can't quite get his forehead to it.
I see.
But it is I guess you can't say an inch perfect ball, but it is darn close to it.
All right, so we are now 5 match days deep into the Champions League group stages. We'll do a roundup of the final group stage games when they happen. Some groups are more interesting than others. Fair to say?
I'd say so, yes.
Should we move on to our Thanksgiving special?
Sure.
It's the main course, the main event.
Yes.
It's the classic thing. We are going to go around the table, where there's only 2 of us, and we're going to say what we're thankful for.
I have to pause for a moment to say I've just pulled a $2 note from
Is that Her
Belize
Majesty?
out of my pocket. And
That's Her Majesty.
I don't know where this came from. I have never been to Belize. This is interesting.
How does that happen?
I don't
Is this
know.
Are you doing a magic trick for Thanksgiving?
Apparently. I was like, oh, I have money in my pocket. And I put it, I think my mom went there maybe. Maybe that was like one of those, I didn't spend this money, so here's a gift gifts. That is never that great of a gift, but sure, why not? Anyway, I just sort of was thrown by that. I'm like, where did this come from? What's happening here?
This is the weirdest start to Thanksgiving ever.
A little bit.
So as I was saying, we're going to go around the table. We're just going to sort of offer up what we're thankful for, mostly in the soccer world, this Thanksgiving. Yep. All right, Taylor, I'm going to invite you to go first, but with the caveat that it's been a very bad year.
Yes.
So should we start there, in fact? It's been a year where the US did not qualify for the World Cup. Obviously, that hangs over everything. So everything we're about to say is kind of knowing that is looming.
Yep.
Right? Because we can't be thankful for that.
Yes. And with that in mind, I'm going to start us off in the obvious place, not on the soccer field. I'm going to say I'm very thankful for Founders All Day IPA 15 packs. They're the best value you can get when you're...
Is this an ad?
Yeah. No, it's not at all. But it is a thing that I'm thankful for when US soccer doesn't qualify. It's a good beverage to have on hand.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to invite you to go again with the soccer one.
Must I?
Yes.
All right, then I'll go with I'm thankful for FC Schalke.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
That is a club who I don't think I would have been as interested in years past, but certainly I'm far more interested in them now. There is an
Because
element
of Weston McKennie?
Well, there's an element of like Jermaine Jones, it starts it there. But then, it's Weston McKennie, it is Haji Wright, and it's Nick Tatagui. I think there's a couple other Americans in there getting trials or maybe in the academy.
It's a destination, right? It's an American destination.
But it is a bright spot, and I think that's what it's about, to your point, that it hasn't been the strongest of years. So to go and find those little moments of like, okay, that makes me feel a little bit better about things. That's what it's all about.
So I've got a similar one, I'm thankful for the next generation of American talent coming through. So, it was obviously it was hard, right, to see the US not qualify for the World Cup. It's going to be hard watching the World Cup next summer, a constant reminder that they are not there. But imagine if that had happened and we looked sort of down the line of like, what other players have we got? And that the players that we'd put on the field against Trinidad and throughout the Hex were genuinely the best we had to offer for the next few years as well. That would make me super down. So at least we get the chance to sort of refresh the team with talented young players like McKennie. Means that there's at least some reason for optimism in the future. So I'm thankful for that.
All right. I'm thankful for, on a club level, I'm thankful for Paul Pogba playing for Manchester United again because he's just a delightful weirdo.
What is he a delightful weirdo?
He's always doing weird dances. He's always celebrating. There was a clip doing the rounds today where he was introducing himself to somebody and they said like, oh yeah, I just arrived in Manchester. And he's like, oh, welcome to my city. And I just like those moments of like, he's a confident man who has no hesitation to show that confidence. But really, it's anytime you have those players who are like a joy to watch. I would say we were talking about Paulo Dybala earlier.
Yes,
he's kind of on that list too, where like you just kind of. There can always be that moment of like, whoa, where did that come from? Out of nowhere.
Or like Mendy from Man City would be the guy, right?
Would he? Yeah.
With the shark team.
Well, but isn't he
and the Yaya song? Remember him doing that?
Yeah, but I guess that's more like off the pitch stuff to me. Whereas I'm talking about with Pogba, it's the weird stuff off the pitch, but it's also like, oh, he just banged a 70-yard ball out of nowhere. I think he played a no-look ball in for Romelu Lukaku in this game against Basel. So like, there's just those moments on the pitch too where you don't know what's going to happen, and so it makes it that much more interesting to watch.
Well, when Mendy gets fit, he'll be able to do some stuff on the pitch.
Sure.
Okay, so since you went with your team, I'm going to say that I'm thankful that I was wrong about Wolves.
Yep.
It's sometimes good to be wrong.
You going to pay up soon, or what's up?
We'll see. We'll see how the season ends. Could you remind people of our bet?
I think it was $10 that they would get promoted, and I made that bet before the season started.
Yeah.
I think I made that bet like in the summer, and you're like, sure, why not?
Well, I saw it as a no-lose bet, right? Because
Yeah.
at least my team goes up in that scenario, even if I lose $10. I'd pay $10 for Wolves to go up.
I'm trying to figure out what it is for me.
Someone's about to pay a lot more, possibly.
Because if they don't, it's a win-lose for me. It's not a win-win for me. Yeah.
So obviously, I was talking a lot in the off-season about how I was not happy that the new Chinese ownership, Fosun Group, had come in, and they'd essentially unofficially let George Mendes run the team. Right? He doesn't have any official position at Wolves, but he's sort of very friendly with the owners. And then he was kind of just sending his lesser talents to Wolves and stocking the team all of last season. Like Walter Zenga made a mess of it. Paul Lambert tried to put it back together. Then they fired Paul Lambert in the summer. And I kind of just saw this endless cycle of managers trying to deal with George Mendes players and Wolves being mid-table at best.
Yep.
But the amazing thing that happened is they hired Nuno. They hired a George Mendes client. I think it was maybe his first client, the coach, Nuno Espirito Santos. I think it is. I may have made that up. I'm pretty confident.
Sure.
But that's made all the difference. I think having a guy that's on the same page as Mendes and they can actually work together and sort of they can work together to bring in players that are mostly in the Mendes stable but also fit what Nuno wants to do, suddenly has turned Wolves into this force in the Championship. They beat Leeds 4-1 today. They are top of the Championship. I still don't really like the situation, but I'm very happy to see my team playing well. Because, I mean, I've seen Wolves win before. I've seen them do well in the Championship before, but never with the sort of panache and style of what they're doing this time. It's the first time in my life that I'm kind of proud of Wolves when I see what they're doing, and I'm happy to have been wrong.
It's the weird aspect of modern soccer where it is sort of like your club gets bought and that feels weird, and it's kind of strange because suddenly it's this giant ownership group and this super agent has a role and you don't know how to feel about that, but then also you start winning and things look good and it's sort of like, I don't like it, but I like it. And
maybe
it's kind of weird.
I mean, the reverse of maybe what happens at most Thanksgivings is to just own my hypocrisy and say that, I'm against this in theory, but I like what's happening on the pitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. And I think it's interesting.
I'm the uncle that admits he's wrong at Thanksgiving.
Those are rare. I've enjoyed it as well because while I wouldn't claim to be a Wolverhampton fan, obviously because they are your most favorite of teams, I follow them as well and have in years past. And it was sort of like, oh, they drew today. Shucks. So they haven't won in 3 games. That's a shshame. And it's gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, 2-0 win. Yeah, okay, that feels right. It is just sort of routine as he knocks on wood.
It was light, if
feel better. Oh, that was a light hammering? All right, that works. So yes, I too am thankful for Wolverhampton.
What else you got?
Okay, MLS fans, I apologize because I know I'm going to get some eye rolls here and I know this is a lead in, but I remember way back when I first moved back and I was going to Kickers games and I talked to the Red Army guys and I was like, hey man, how about what's going on in Seattle? That's really exciting, right? Because
so this would be joined, 2013 or so?
It's right around when they had just joined and were getting a lot of the attention.
Yeah,
and all of them were like, no. Roll their eyes and we're frustrated.
Wait, no, Seattle have been in the league longer than that, right? I guess 2009.
I guess it's from maybe it's even longer than when we first started the show going there. But it was sort of in my mind, it was oh, you guys got to be excited about that. And they're like, no, we've been we're fans, we go to games, but they get all the attention. And so I know that there's a little bit of that with Major League Soccer.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I'm going to say I'm thankful for Atlanta United. I have no interest in Atlanta United. No, I don't root for them.
Yeah.
It is not a team that I've really followed. Except to say that it has been interesting to see how they've built their roster, who they hired as their coach, because Martino has worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
And then they've got all these attacking players who it's been a long time since I feel like players from one club were consistently linked with moves to bigger clubs abroad. And it feels like every day there's one with Villalba today linking him with Wolverhampton. I don't know if you saw that one.
I haven't seen that. Oh, wow.
Yeah, somebody tweeted it to us, I think, right before we started recording. Maybe that's why you haven't seen it.
I haven't.
Yeah, but
that's interesting.
So that's...
Can we have Almiron instead?
No. But so that's
Yeah,
really
that would be
interesting. And then I think like the way they constructed their roster with some of the veterans so that it's a lot of names in there that you're like, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I know that guy. I like that guy. It makes it sort of a team to kind of always keep an eye on. And then obviously the stuff going on with the supporters being there, how many games they've sold out, the attendance, the kind of like supporters groups that have happened, all of that is pretty interesting. And I think a really positive thing for the league.
So without going too deep into this, the final piece of it for me, when I will truly sort of embrace Atlanta United, is if they get those kids on the field in the next
That's a
year
huge part
or
of
two.
it, isn't it? Yeah.
Once Goslin and Carlton are on
Bellow
the field.
to some extent, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not so soon because he's only 15, but soonish.
Whatever, Coslin. I've combined them now. Carlton, he was 16?
That would be a hell of a player.
16 when he made his debut for Charleston?
Yeah.
So you never know. I mean, if Atlanta gets that USL team going, maybe he's
Gwinnett.
in there. Gwinnett, something like that. Yeah, sure.
Will they be called Gwinnett United or will they just be called Atlanta United too?
I would say...
We don't know yet, do we?
I was thinking about this yesterday and it was a terrible pun. I want them to be the ATLians. That's what I wanted them to be.
What does that mean?
It's the Outcast album from their second or third studio album. But yeah, it's called ATLians. And I think it could work. FC ATLians, why not?
All right, so Taylor's thankful for Atlanta United.
Yes. I mean, but I thank you for bringing that up because that is part of it too. Is like, ooh, and Andrew Carlton and Chris Goslin. Okay, there's lots going on. There's things to be interested in.
If that works out, I'm fully pro Atlanta. Yeah. Okay, I'm going international for a second. I'm thankful that the Nations League is coming. Ooh. So I love international football, probably more than I do club football by quite a distance, right? I love England and the US national team more than I love Wolves. Like, my interest is slightly higher in international football. But international football gets bashed so often because friendlies are kind of meaningless, right? It just has... the venom is taken out of it, the interest is taken out of it. So the Nations League is finally, whether it works out or not, it is an attempt by UEFA and by CONCACAF now to make those dates interesting by having it be competitive football once again. I've always wanted something like this to happen. I'm really excited.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on, and I'll give you, I'll like kind of meander to this one so you have time to think. How do you think the British press are going to treat the Nations League? Is it going to be a sort of curiosity that they kind of like as a whole think is like, oh, what is this weird thing? This is silly. Why don't we just do friendlies? And then we can, or is it going to be the opposite where they go way overboard and then say England draw a game that they should have won? Suddenly will it be this whole referendum on like, well, now we're not going to be in the top tier anymore. I don't know what to make of this.
I expect that both here and in England that it will initially be treated with some level of derision because especially in England, it just tends to be. Anything new is kind of mocked to begin with, and unless it's the World Cup, then it's not that interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like this silly Nations League that they've started.
Yeah.
But all it will take is a couple of exciting games. Like if everybody buys in, and it's like England play Germany, and there's a game where there's points on the line, and whoever loses maybe gets relegated to Tier 2 or whatever, then suddenly everyone will be interested and it will grab everyone's attention. It just needs one of those games, right? Or it needs England to get to the sort of playoff round and when everybody can buy into it. So I think initially there'll be some mockery, but once England has an important game, everyone will buy in and it'll turn the tide. And I feel like it'll be the same here in the United States.
It's just occurred to me that, like, because you hear those jokes about like, when Harry Redknapp gets appointed, or not Harry Redknapp, excuse me, Sam Allardyce, when he got appointed, that it was like, I mean, England are sort of the equivalent of like a mid-table team. Like, why not do it? And there will come a time when they are literally mid-table, or in there, like, battling for it and be like, well, it makes sense then. Maybe get that manager in there.
You'll really find out how, in some ways, over the spread of a few Nations Leagues, you'll genuinely find out who the better team in your region is, right? Because you'll constantly be playing off against each other and seeing who wins out. So it may like have some actual definitive rankings at some point. Like everything's always in flux, but you'll have someone winning, someone losing, someone getting relegated. And especially in Europe, being relegated out of the top two of European nations will be kind of hard for some teams to take.
Yeah. Wait, let me get this straight. You're saying relegation is difficult for people to handle.
But when it's a national pride thing, it's even worse than when it's a club team. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I look forward to seeing how the Sun handles all of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding. I look forward to nothing involving the Sun. I've got some more things to be thankful for. I'm guessing you do too.
Yeah.
One of the things I'm thankful for is people who choose to advertise on the show. So should we talk about them for just a moment?
Yes.
All right.
Today's advertiser is Greats.
That's right, Mr. Grove. Greats is Brooklyn's first sneaker company. They offer men's and women's styles. They offer the classic styles made the best for less.
So, it's Christmas.
Yep.
Christmas is coming. The holidays are coming.
I was going to say it's Thanksgiving, but I see your point.
It's
Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
It's the build-up, right? So it is time to start thinking about gifts. I really think Greats is a great gift for someone to buy. Pun kind of intended, even if it's not the best pun ever. If we were going to buy someone a gift... maybe we do it on Black Friday because Greats you buy online. Who would you buy and what would you buy for them? Which great sneakers would you buy?
First, again, I am not the expert when it comes to online retail, but I genuinely think there is a thing called Cyber Monday when a lot of the online companies do it. So there may be some sales on Cyber Monday. You should check that.
And even if there's not a sale
both.
at Greats, you can use our Total Sock Show discount, which we'll tell you about in a minute.
There we go. Well, I'm going to say, I'm going to just be repetitive here, and I'm going to say I would buy the Royale High Nero for Paul Pogba. Because they've elevated their game with this one. They've made it that high top sneaker. Paul Pogba elevates those around him. But the description...
Only if he lifts him up.
Yeah, he does that. When they score, he lifts them up. Yeah. The Royale High marries old world Italian craftsmanship, honed in Turin, with new world style. I feel like that's a good description for Paul Pogba, so it seems fitting. So I'd buy him those. And maybe if I buy him some shoes, he's like, yeah, sure, come hang out. We'll be best friends. And that's really all I want in life.
I would buy the Hirsch. I don't have the product description in front of me, but you know what I'm talking about, right? It's a really sort of, it's almost like a shoe, but like in a casual style kind of way, like smart, casual looking shoe. Shoe as opposed to sneaker, right? The Hirsch. And I would buy it for Nuno Espirito Santo.
So we're both going that route, all right?
The Wolves coach, because I've been getting a look at Nuno this year. He's maybe about to get promoted to the Premier League, where there's a bit more attention on what people are wearing, right? Like David Rudin literally has a website about dress like Pep.
Yeah.
Nuno wears either a straight up suit, right, like black tie, black, like kind of formal black shoes, or he wears the Wolves tracksuit.
Okay.
He doesn't go in between. So I want to get Nuno dressing kind of smart, casual, stylish. And I think if I got him a pair of the Hirsch, that would be a great building. Like, I'd literally build it from the ground up, from the feet up. I'd say, Nuno, here's your starting point. Put these on. They're going to look great. Build something smart but casual around this for when you're on Match of the Day.
Knock on wood. Here's the thing. I have to really say this is the greatest example ever of how much like stock in Wolverhampton has risen. That your concern now is not will we get promoted? Oh, we're in the playoff spots. I hope we can make the playoff spots. Maybe we could do well there. I hope we don't get relegated. It's what's our manager going to wear and how do we make him look more fashionable when we're in the Premier League? I love it and it makes me happy and I think it's a good choice, Daryl Grove.
So if you go to greats.com, you can get 15% off anything that you see if you use the discount code Total Soccer Show. That's Total Soccer Show, all one word, for 15% off at greats.com. You should buy, or you can buy, a gift for loved ones, for Christmas, for the holidays, or you can send stylish shoes to Nuno in Wolverhampton.
Or to Paul Pogba, who I would consider to be a loved one, so it's fine.
He's already stylish enough.
All right. Well, thank you to Greats for sponsoring today's show. Daryl Grove, what else are you thankful for?
Oh, so many things. Okay, so we touched on international football. This year I've been very thankful for, with all the bad stuff happening with the US national team, I'm thankful for the England under-17s and under-20s winning those two youth tournaments. This hasn't happened ever in my lifetime, I don't think, not that I've been aware of. And I was able to really, I guess because we do this show, I was able to follow and watch all the way through and be super excited about the future of English football.
All right.
Until they don't play for their Premier League teams. But then, even when we saw Phil Foden play for Man City the other day, that it kind of gives me some hope that these players will get their shot, or at least some of them will, and eventually we'll see them in the England team.
All right. Yeah. I'm with you on that. Well, while we're talking about youngsters who are proving themselves, I'm going to say, Daryl Grove, I think you tend to be the more, like...
sexy.
That one got me. No, I think you tend to be a little bit more like, yep, I'm on board with this guy. Like,
right.
I think you are currently operating about 12 different hype trains. I think
it's a lot. I'm going to need a depot.
And I think I tend to be a little bit more skeptical of like, all right, we'll see. I don't know. And I think one player that I have definitely bought into 100% is Tyler Adams. And that's one that you were on early. Yeah. I know Red Bulls fans were on that way earlier than either one of us. But
it all goes back to when he scored against Chelsea in one of those summer friendlies when he was 16.
That's right.
16 years old, he scored from distance against Chelsea.
But then you just look at like the things he's done this season and how important he's become for that Red Bulls team. And just like just to see him like, oh, he's floating here. Oh, he's pressuring this person. Oh, he's made a really good pass. It seems like he does it really consistently. To see what he did for the U.S. against Portugal, that was also very exciting. And
so you're just thankful for Tyler Adams?
Yeah, that's basically it. That it's like, again, it's another player that sort of is in the recent unpleasantness era. It's nice to have those moments of like, okay, there's a street light down the road. That's good. Yeah. That's Tyler Adams.
Okay, I
Schalke
agree.
as a street light. Yeah.
I agree with that. Going more, maybe bigger picture, I want to say I am thankful for the availability of good soccer coverage.
Okay.
Right? So we're pretty particular about the way we want to consume soccer news and that kind of stuff. And I think when you watch soccer on the big TV networks, it can be kind of broad, right? It's aimed at a wide audience as opposed to the soccer nerdy stuff that we're into. But if you think about it, we have, like, over the course of the last few years, discovered a load. I'm not going to name any because I don't want to start listing them, but some really good podcasts, really good websites.
I mean, for what it's worth, my number 6 thing I'm thankful for is Reddit. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one.
But I was talking specifically of, like, media outlets, podcasts, magazines, websites that really do cater specifically to and sometimes specifically to nerdy American soccer fans.
Yep.
I am thankful that is out there. There's no guarantee that it has to be, but it's there and we love it.
Yes, I absolutely agree
The soccer
with you.
niche is glorious.
Yeah. And I think, and there's so much good content out there. And I do genuinely think Reddit is a really good source for that because you can find different articles and tweets and clips.
So you're making me jump ahead. I'm thankful that Taylor introduced me to our soccer and our MLS.
It's pretty great.
I've typed this out. It's the best, intelligent and immature at the same time.
That is correct.
Perfect blend of intelligence and immaturity.
But there's also like it's one of the few places where I genuinely enjoy the comments.
Yeah,
like, it's not. I don't enjoy that anywhere else. But it tends. It's
the opposite of the Richmond Times Dispatch comment section.
Yes, that is definitely true. But there's all the guidelines that I think help it be generally to civil. And
shout out to the moderators. That's who's making it happen, right? Yeah.
Yep. And so you get good jokes. You get funny observations. You get lots of good clips that you can find. So that's all very useful.
Can we say we're thankful to the Reddit moderators? I feel like we might even get some upvotes just for saying that.
Sure, I'm down for that. But with that in mind, and I am going to make it heavy here, I think, or take it serious for a moment, and I am going to say I'm thankful for net neutrality for as long as it exists.
Thanksgiving just got real.
I mean, yeah, and it should, because I'm not looking forward to a world without it. I don't think it's going to be very good for individual people. It's going to be very good for giant corporations, the 4 that exist, or however many there are that own everything. But for example...
Shineheart wigs?
Yes, that's one.
I just wanted to lighten the mood a bit.
And a North Korean meat organization, I think, as well, according to 30 Rock. But like right now, I mean, Comcast owns NBC. So there is the very real possibility that in the future, if net neutrality is removed, then if you want to stream NBC Sports, that you might have to get Comcast, or you might have to pay an extra fee. Otherwise, you might just have like, I have Verizon. Oh, Verizon's so bad. Why is it so slow? Well, there's a reason why it's slow. And those are all things to be concerned about, as well as, like your browser history, what happens there, that could get hacked. They could do any number of things with that.
Mine's a lot of Reddit soccer links.
I mean, yeah, so is mine. I don't need people to know how much time I spend on Reddit. I mean, but it's just anything. I feel like anytime it feels like individual liberties are potentially being taken away for... Yes, I know there are some justifications out there, but I feel like the larger one is because cable companies need a way to make more money. And that's kind of how I feel about that. And so, yeah, I would encourage, if people feel similarly, maybe make your voices heard. There are petitions out there. There's one on Our Soccer right now, in fact.
There's an Our Soccer petition that you can contact the FCC and petition?
Yes, I think as of yesterday, the 6 most upvoted things on the front page of all of Reddit that were upvoted 300,000 times were different links to different petitions about the importance of net neutrality.
Oh, okay, maybe this is the perfect sort of what's the word? Intersection of these two things that we could
synergy. I think
we could link to that in the show notes.
Sure.
So people, if they want to take some action, can follow that through.
I'm down with that.
So and we're not being nakedly political there because it has an Our Soccer connection.
Sure,
that's our cover.
Yeah, sure. Why not? And with that, I'll leave politics alone.
Okay. No, but thank you for bringing that up, because, we're on the internet. All that stuff genuinely affects us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I am thankful for... Let's go local. I'm thankful for the CVSA, the Central Virginia Soccer Association, the league that we play in here in Richmond. I think we take for granted sometimes just how good it is. The fields are mostly good. There's a couple of bum ones out there, but the fields are mostly good. There's always a full array's the wrong word. There's a full trio of referees, centre and 2 assistant refs, and you get to play a really good quality of soccer. The other team almost always has 11 men. If they don't, they're in for a beating. Not every city has that, especially not every city the size of Richmond has such a vibrant soccer league.
Yeah, and certainly larger ones have smaller ones or less organized ones.
And I'm personally always thankful for that, because I moved to Richmond without knowing that was there, and I feel like I couldn't have moved to a better city in terms of me really loving to play soccer on a Sunday, and I'm going to do it for as long as my legs will let me.
Weren't you, I forget, maybe it was the Scott Zawadsky show, weren't you recently talking about living in a soccer bubble, sort of?
Yeah, it was on the Yellow Card Pod. We were talking about how, we kind of live in a soccer bubble because most of my friends are soccer people.
I mean, and a big reason for that is because of the CVSA.
Yeah,
because,
it's where we met, right? You and I met playing CVSA.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think about that. Yeah, Summer League, which I don't always enjoy playing, but it worked out that one. But yeah, I mean, it's you run into people all over the city. You run, people who like work at breweries, work at restaurants, work in I don't know, anywhere, and like you make contacts, you make friends, you enjoy different things that you would otherwise enjoy,
and you have a lot of like, I know you from somewhere.
Yep.
I can't remember what it is, but I know your face. You're normally wearing something different, but I know your face.
Yep. The only thing stranger than that is when you run into a referee and you're like, ooh,
yeah, you have to be
now it's nice to him. We're
extra
good.
polite, right?
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
talking to your girlfriend's dad.
Yep.
So
Extra polite.
What else are you thankful for?
How many
Taylor?
do you have left? I'm going to ask before I tell you.
I want to say 3 or 4.
Why don't you keep going then?
Okay. I am thankful for, let's say, I'm thankful for the fact that English teams are no longer being laughed at in the Champions League.
Okay.
How about that?
It's true.
So right now, I think they're all going to win their group, right? They're all top of their group right now.
You're correct.
I don't want to gloat about it because I think it could turn around and they won't be so good in coming years. But I think it's kind of proof that there isn't not winning Champions League or being in the semi-finals all the time is not proof of some massive slide in your country's football standard. It's kind of just cyclical. So I kind of like this right now as proof that it's all just cyclical, and no one should read too much into Champions League success of certain teams as being an indicator of the health of your sort of national soccer landscape.
Yes, but I'd say it's cyclical if you take it seriously and you respond accordingly. Otherwise, you can easily lose a spot, and then suddenly you're falling down those cliff. I think it also speaks to the reality of the situation and everything in life, which is like if something's not working, you got to find a way to make it work, and then you end up top of the group. Does that work as a life metaphor?
Kind of. Let's say yes. Let's say yes.
Sure. Then I'm gonna jump to the one that I feel like you will probably echo, which is I'm just thankful for our listeners and our subscribers.
It was on my list.
There we go.
It was on my list.
I mean, people who choose to voluntarily support the show, that's incredible. It's incredible that people share word about the show. We've had people. I think there was talk of making like a Reddit R Total Soccer show or making an unofficial one.
Really?
I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful for all the myriad ways people choose to support the show, interact with us. I think 95% of the time our interactions with people on social media are polite and positive. And even if we disagree, that's the thing, is like it's usually like, have you guys thought about this or what about that? It's not like, you idiots.
Yes, so I think I referenced maybe on yesterday's show my interaction with, I'm going to name someone specifically if that's okay with you, Patrick Keeler, who kind of called me out on saying that it was EU law that prevents players playing under 18, transferring under 18. And he kind of nudged me to look into it a bit more, and it turned out to be FIFA law, FIFA Article 19. But he did it in such a friendly, polite way that it was genuinely a really pleasant exchange, right? And like you said, 95% is probably about right. Sometimes we get sort of weird, angry comments, but I think we're very lucky to not be faced with that all the time.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think it's a credit to the type of person that is our listener, our listener base, that it seems to be genuinely good people.
I mean, I think so, and I'm just really thankful for all of that support and love that we get. I think when the U.S. didn't qualify, for example, I know a lot of people were very upset, but we also had a lot of people messaging us like, "Hey, are you guys okay? Is the show going to be okay?
I
hope
really
you guys keep going,
supported.
please." And that was very okay, cool. All right, there are people out there who care. That's nice to know.
Can we call that the TSS listener community?
Sure,
that's what we're thankful for. Yeah, and then on top of that, the thing I had in my notes about it was we're putting out 5 shows a week, and it seems that a lot of people are listening to every episode. That is a commitment. So I'm grateful that people don't get annoyed with us over the span of 5 shows.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
They might. They just might keep it to themselves. I don't know if people always love Manchester United and like The Office references. I feel like there's a Venn diagram of people who do, but there's a larger one of people who don't.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Yeah, I mean, most people in the world don't listen to the Total Soccer Show. You know that?
This is true. Really?
Yeah.
We don't get 7 billion downloads?
In a popular vote of who listens and who doesn't, we're very unpopular.
I have been misrepresenting our download numbers.
You tell people it's a potential global audience of 7 billion.
Yes. That's the best way to do it, baby.
That's an Alan Partridge line from when he had to move from terrestrial television to digital television.
There you go.
Sorry, to broadcast on the internet.
I know, yeah.
All right. We got there. All right, final one then. I'm thankful to have Taylor as my friend and co-worker, because one of the main reasons this show keeps going is that I found someone to match my sort of level and interest and enthusiasm for soccer.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think the old one that I always go back to is your best friend in elementary school, and you're like, man, why can't my best friend be my sibling? I don't like my sibling. I like my best friend. So you spend a week with your best friend, and you're like, I hate this person. like that's what happens, man. And so I'm with you that I think we're pretty lucky to have found. You and I have our scraps here and there, but we never have anything too major. Let's knock on wood there. And I think that's normal when you spend as much time. I mean, there was 2 summers ago we spent We absolutely spent more time together.
2016, the Copa and Euro. Yeah.
Yeah, we spent more
summer.
time together for sure in those that month and a half period than we did with our wives.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a special thing to not want to kill each other at the end of that in a 350 square foot office.
I would say that most of the arguments that we have,
Soccer tennis
and there's not that many of them, but most of the arguments we have are really about how to make content better and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what I love, is that we're both committed to that idea of trying to make it better all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, with that in mind, I'm going to say, first of all, I'm thankful to having an office building where people generally leave by 7 or 8 o'clock, so we can record this at 7 o'clock and we don't have a bunch of people being annoyed when we're super loud, but also for the opportunity to then go outside and play soccer in the hallway, which is something that we haven't done in a long time. But
keep it on the download.
But no, I'll say, and to echo your sentiment, I'm very thankful to do the show with you for everything that you've already said, but also for reasons such as, lately when I've been working on Fridays coaching, you've been doing these interviews, and that's been very helpful.
Oh, you mean Interview Friday?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm very appreciative of that. I'm appreciative of your support and enthusiasm. So,
thank
good talking
you.
to you, buddy.
Same to you.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had our own Thanksgiving moment.
There you go. Yeah.
Brilliant.
All right.
Should we move on to just the one listener question today?
Mm-hmm.
It's from Colin Bish, and it's Thanksgiving themed.
Yep.
Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Colin asked,
I feel like I'm going to hear about this one, by the way.
If Christian Pulisic is the Thanksgiving turkey, which I assume means the main part.
Oh, I didn't even read that part. I had that as yes. I agree with that. It's the bedrock.
What side dishes are the other supporting characters in the US men's national team pool? So Pulisic is the turkey. Who is everybody else? Or what is everybody else?
I'm going to start off with Jonathan Gonzalez is the stuffing.
Oh, why?
Because no one is 100% certain exactly what it is, but we're all very excited when it's there. Because really, I feel like everyone has their own version of how to make stuffing or what stuffing should be and how you prepare that stuffing. So no one is ever really 100% confident on what it is or how it's made, but we're all very excited that it's on the table, and that's how I feel about Jonathan Gonzalez.
So speaking of, one of the things I had on my list but didn't get to was I am genuinely thankful for Jonathan Gonzalez being my way in to Liga MX.
Yep.
I am fully supporting Monterrey in the playoffs. Yep. There is a game, I think it's 10:30 Eastern, Thanksgiving night, Monterrey versus Atlas in the Liga MX playoffs. I believe it's called the Liguilla. So you can watch Jonathan Gonzalez this Thanksgiving on Univision Deportes.
There we go.
Okay, so if Pulisic is the turkey, then Paul Arriola is the tofurkey.
Oh, all right.
Almost as good, but not quite the same thing.
I've gone a different route with him, but I've gone Paul Arriola is the green beans, because Paul Arriola does the work you don't want to do, probably. And I feel like green beans, when you're looking around at all of the options on the Thanksgiving table, you're like, all right, I'll have some green beans. I don't really want to eat the green beans, but I know I should. And I feel like Paul Arriola is the one doing that work for you.
So I feel differently about green beans. Green bean casserole, specifically, I think is a really good dish, really tasty, and reasonably healthy, right? So
I think anytime you turn it into a casserole, I think it instantly becomes less healthy, but sure.
All right, well,
I take your point.
But you know what I'm talking about with the onion onion flakes type thing?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So green bean casserole is Matt Beasler, because it's really good, but for some reason we only bring it out a couple times a year.
I like that one. I'm going to go with the cranberry, whatever you choose to go with, be it out of a can or some homemade thing, is Weston McKinney, because it's good on its own. Cranberries themselves are terrible, but with a bunch of sugar, they're delicious. So they can be eaten on their own. That's Weston McKinney, but they complement the turkey, and I think that's Weston McKinney. Weston McKinney will, in my mind, allow Christian Pulisic to kind of have a more free-flowing approach, and I think you've got to have those two together.
So obviously they've never played together for the US national team, because McKennie only has that one cap against Portugal. Worth noting, they go up against each other this coming Saturday, 9:30 a.m., BVB versus Schalke.
Yep.
Yeah, that's got to be on Fox Sports 1. If it's not, then Fox Sports are doing something very wrong. I also have cranberry sauce.
All right.
For me, the cranberry sauce is Tyler Adams.
All right.
Because everybody thinks you should do something different with it.
Let's go on. I like that.
Like midfielder, right mid, right back, right wing back.
I like that, yeah.
What else you got? I got a couple more.
Similar reasons-ish. For the mashed potatoes, they're dependable, but again, they're not a thing that, when you think Thanksgiving, it's like turkey, gravy, stuffing, pumpkin pie, I'm so excited. And then you're like, and mashed potatoes too, that's great. Alejandro Bedoya. That's, how many times have we done that when we're like, and Bedoya, yeah, that's really exciting. And we like Alejandro Bedoya, but it's like he's just kind of the ever-present, and that's been proven with that Portugal roster as well.
I've also got Bruce Arena is the drunk uncle who will never admit he's wrong.
I've gone the Halloween candy corn that someone forgot to throw away as Bruce Arena.
Ouch. Ooh, that's harsh.
Yep.
Then I've also got John Hackworth and Tab Ramos were the sort of extra cooks who prepared food for the kids' table, and that food actually looks a lot better.
I like that. The gravy, I'm going to say it's Clint Dempsey. It's good in like limited amounts, but you don't want to just rely on it for the entire thing. Otherwise, you've got a plate that doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I have Weston McKennie as the gravy because he makes everything better. So that's pretty much the same as your point, right?
That's a good shout there. I've gone for pumpkin pie, Josh Sargent, Andrew Carlton, all of those things that you're like really looking forward to. I'm going to put them there. And salad is Graham Zusi because in other situations it's fine, but when you've got a big meal in front of you, get out of here, salad.
I think we should end it on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you to Colin for that question. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
If you'd like to send questions to us, it's totalsoccershow.com/questions. There's a form you can fill out, and then we can collect all the questions. We're going to be answering more and more over the coming weeks. If you'd like to support the show, it's totalsoccershow.com/join. And if you want some wonderful sneakers to send to Nuno or to buy for a loved one, it's great.
Or Paul Pogba, thank you.
He doesn't need any. He's fine.
He is a pauper.
All right, Taylor.
I think his weekly wages is more than I'll ever make in my life. But yeah.
Taylor, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Right, I got you, buddy.
Listeners, we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Taylor and I will be back, late Sunday night, early Monday morning with our weekend review. Thumbs up, thumbs down.